Hey everybody, this is Taz. For the first time ever in my life, I took a car on a racetrack. Itsy Bitsy was her first time on the track too. And if I tell you it was fun, I'd be lying. It wasn't fun. It was insanely awesome. I had a blast. It was like one of the coolest things I've done since I got married to Jennifer. So, we're going to take a look at Eagles Canyon Raceway, which is a track located just outside of Decatur, Texas. It's between an hour and a half and 2 hours from my house. It's to the northwest of the DFW Metroplex. It's one of two racetracks in the DFW area. The other one's down in Crescent, a little bit southwest of Dallas. Okay, so here's the aerial pic. Here's the aerial pic of Eagles Canyon. It's 2.7 miles long. That's 4.3 kilometers. There's over 200 feet of elevation change, 61 meters, 15 turns, and the back straightaway is almost half a mile long. It's 2,200 feet. That's about 670 meters. So you get an idea of the numbers on the track. Here's a little closer look at it. You enter the track at the pit exit. The yellow areas are the areas where we're allowed to pass. In SCCA, especially on track night, and in novice class, you're only allowed to pass in the yellow straightaway areas. And then only after the car in front of you sticks their hand out the window and gives you a pass-by motion. If you pass without the car in front of you telling you it's okay to pass, they will black flag you. Anybody passes in the turns outside the designated areas, they will black flag you. And when you get black flagged, they just pull you into the pit and explain what you did wrong. If you go back out and do it again, they will probably bring you in and tell you to go home, that your day is done. The little red boxes are where they have flag stations. And the way it works is you run 20-minute sessions, and as your session is about to end, because the flag system is a little bit different than in racing, at the start-finish line, as you come through the start-finish line for the last time, they give you the checkered flag, and that is synonymous with a white flag in real racing. It means there's one lap left. So you get the checkered flag at the start and finish. This means you're on your last lap. Most cars on this track will continue to run hot until about turn 11. At turn 11, they give you another checkered flag, and at that point, most cars then get off the throttle and start letting the cars cool down a little bit before they get back at the very end of turn 15, where normally you'd be hitting it to hit the straightaway. You just slow down all the way and go into the pit entry and then back to your paddock, which is where you keep your car between sessions. And as you can see, there are 4 passing areas. That long straightaway in the backstretch between 10 and 11 is the most common area to pass. Second most common area is between 15 and 1 at the start-finish line. Third most common is between 5 and 6. And the one between 14 and 15, hardly anybody passes there, because 14 is a big sweeping uphill turn that's a blind crest. And then you're going downhill into 15, and there's just not that much space to pass, especially when you're not under any kind of, you don't have any kind of momentum, because you're going uphill on a long turn, so you just don't come out of that fast. So you enter the track on your first lap at the pit exit. Turn 1 and 2, you're not really going fast. Our first either 3 or 4 flag stations had yellows out for the first lap when he went back on the track. They didn't want anybody passing, which is good, because there was only the one pass zone between 5 and 6, but they want everybody to get back into being on the track vibes and let your cars warm up before you start really running them hard. So they keep yellows out for basically the first quarter of the track, because they don't want anybody pushing it too soon. Anyway, you go through 1 and 2. First time through, it's easy because you're going slow. Come up into turn 3, and turn 3 is uphill a little bit blind, and off camber. So once you're going full speed, if you hit that turn too hot, you are going to end up in the grass or completely spinning out, because the track is going to try to throw you to the outside because it's a little bit off camber. As long as you hit it at the right speed and the right angle, it's not that bad of a turn. Turn 4 is pretty easy. As a matter of fact, probably one of the easier turns on the course. Turn 5 is one of the two where I struggled the most, because it's a more than 90-degree turn. From 4 to 5 is downhill, you will see on the video, and just as you start to enter turn 5, it switches back to uphill. And the preferred line on turn 5 is the apex is a really late apex, and I kept turning in a little bit too tight. It's a very subtle difference. However, if you come in too soon, it really messes up your exit coming out of 5. 6, very easy. 7, easy, but you also want to come out of it at the right angle, because turn 8 is another more than 90. And both 3 and 8 had multiple cars spin out in them. I didn't get to see anybody spin out. I didn't spin out. But even the intermediate and advanced classes had people spin out in every session. So when you're running fast, it doesn't matter. You tend to try to push your car, push the envelope, improve your skills, see what capabilities your car have, and sometimes you just push it a little bit too far. 9 was a simple turn, a little bit downhill, and you really wanted to hit it right and carry a lot of speed out of 9 into 10, and then you wanted to absolutely nail 10, because that's setting up that long straightaway. So the faster you can maintain speed through 9 and 10, the better you could hit the straightaway. And turn 11 is the hardest braking turn on the track, because of the fact you're carrying the most speed down that long straightaway. So you really have to get on your brakes. I tended not to push that too far, because this is my first time ever on a track. Never done it before. And my goal was to come out here, learn, slowly improve as I learned the track, and escape without any major damage to my car, because in 2 weeks we have Fiat Freakout, and I definitely didn't want any disaster to happen now, because the odds of getting it repaired before I went to the Freakout were pretty small. So I managed both goals. Turn 11 to 12, you just want to get a good weight transfer. Going into 13 is a little bit downhill, so you can't really carry too much speed into it. And coming out of 13B, lots of room. You pretty much can't mess that turn up. If you do, you did something majorly wrong. 14 was the other one I struggled with, because it's a long right-hand turn that goes uphill, blind at the top. And I tended to stay to the inside of the track way too much. I really needed to go out farther into the turn before I started trying to come back to the apex. And it's like, since I got home, I've watched the video 3 or 4 times, and I've compared it to the track notes that Eagle Canyon has for the turns. And I know, especially on turn 5 and turn 14, what I was doing wrong. Turn 5, I think I can rectify the next time I go to the track. Turn 14, it's just unnatural to me, because it seems like I have to turn way later than what seems like the right way to turn. And so, even though I see what their notes say and I've driven it and I understand what they're saying to do, it's just, to me, it seems unnatural to do it that way. So I'm really going to have to fight and force myself to get that line right. So then going into 15, another downhill. 15, you really want to nail, especially 15B, because you're, again, another straightaway that was a good place to pass. You could really get on it. The track's really wide right there. So it almost didn't matter whether you hit the apex or not. As long as you're flooring it coming through the turn, you're going to come out of it okay. And so there's the track. I'm going to show you a little video of where registration was. And a lot of the cars that were there today, they had 60 slots. I think they were all full. There were more cars in novice than any other class. Part of that is because if you've never raced at Eagles Canyon before, your first day there, you have to do it in novice class. And we had a lot of people, we had some people with really extensive experience on tracks like Crescent that had just never been at Eagles Canyon before. So they had cars built for the track, and they had experience on tracks. They just never been at Eagles Canyon, so they had a racing novice. And we also had several autocrossers there that had extensive experience in autocross, just never been to Eagles Canyon as a track before. So the level of driver skill in novice for probably half the field was actually much higher than novice. They were there simply because they'd never been to Eagles Canyon before. And so there was a big experience gap between a lot of the people I was up against or racing on the track with. You're not really racing, you're supposed to be out there just having fun. And but hey, we know if there's a car in your sights, you want to pass it, right? I mean, that makes it even more fun. They also had track tires. The most common tire there was the Bridgestone Potenza RE71s, which they're a street tire, but they're built for track or autocross, and they have way more grip than my General G-Max RS summer high performance tires do. And so if you've ever driven high performance type driving, you know that tires make a ton of difference. An average driver on great tires can stay with or beat a good driver on subpar tires. If your tires aren't good, you just can't go as fast. That's physics. And so I think I did pretty good overall. Remember, this is my first time out, and my goals were to learn and not wreck, and I did that. My session number 2, I was a lot faster. Unfortunately, the whole thing got behind schedule, and so in between session number 1 and session number 2, they were playing catch up. And the cycle was, you went out on the track, came back in, had a mandatory 10-minute drivers meeting where they reviewed things, especially for novice class. Hey, make sure you're aware of the flaggers, make sure you do this, don't do this, don't motion people to pass when you're not in a passing zone, stuff like that. And then you had 10 minutes to go get ready for the next session, and then you were out on the grid getting set up, so when the one of the other classes of the cars came off the track, bam, you were out there. And so it just repeats all day long like that. And they cut our time after the driver's meeting in half. I had to go to the bathroom. I wanted to put my camera on the front of the car on the tow hook. And when I get out, it's like, hey, I need to get my helmet on, get the car ready, and go. And I didn't have time to set up the camera, so I don't have the camera. It would have been nice. I know I was faster. I know I had improved lines. I was able to keep higher revs into the turns and out of the turns, so my straightaway speeds were up. My turn speeds were up, and 5 and 14 continued to be an issue. I almost lost it in turn 3. I managed to keep a hold of it, but it got really, really loose. I came in a little bit too fast. I was looking for a flag because I thought the session was about over. And as I approached the turn, I forgot that I was coming into turn 3 and it was off camera. I was coming a little bit too fast. But I saved the car. I didn't even get sideways. It was like, oh, I'm going to mess this one up, but I didn't. And so, except for that one moment, I was a lot faster in the second session than the first. In the first session, I passed a couple cars. I had 2 cars pass me. One of them was like this go-kart thing that was like, must have weighed maybe 900 pounds. It was basically a roll cage with 4 track tires and a motor. And it didn't even seem like it cared it was in a turn. It was just, it was around the track fast. It came by me about 2/3 of the way through session number 1. And a Lotus passed me. He was one of the guys that had experience, and he was only in novice because it was his first time on the track. So yeah, I thought I did pretty good. I met my goals. Like I said, you can critique me in the comments. I don't care, negative or positive. That's okay. I had a blast. I improved my skills, and so I met my goals. So hey, blast away, flame me if you want. Just remember, my first time ever doing it. So I know I'm not doing everything right. I have a lot of way to improve, and My real goal is to go and take a high performance driving education class, have an instructor right there in the car with me, giving me immediate feedback and tips and advice. And this is kind of just a prelude to get my feet wet and make me want to do it even more. So mission accomplished. I wish I would have had session 2 to show you, but I don't. So we're going to show you the cars, then I'll narrate a little bit on the session.
We don't even stop them anymore.
So hey, you've seen Joey before in videos.
Hey, yep.
He's gonna be one of the flag crew today, so hopefully I don't run over him. This is the registration area.
I'll try to.
Got to go through tech and show them our driver's license and stuff. Our driver's meeting is going to be in about 20 minutes, so I'm going to come out here and look at all the cars that are here. A lot of Miatas, a couple S2000s. Joey has a Spider here, but he's not racing today, he's flagging. Some nice cars here. I got here early because I didn't know how long it would take to do everything to get ready, and it worked out well because I was early enough that I got to park in the shade. Everybody comes here later, stuck out here in the hot. Hood vents. That's something I thought about putting on Itsy. Mini Cooper. There you go, Brian. You think the 124 is small?
What is it? This is the next question.
This is a baby car.
What is it?
The trouble is, once it gets underway, you'll see that this is Fred Flintstone propulsion. You just gotta.
Is it yours?
No.
That's what it is.
A what? Cappuccino? By who?
I need to figure that out. It's Japanese, definitely imported. I just.
Yeah, well, it's right side drive too. It's small.
Red line at 11,000.
Really?
It redlines at 11?
No, just the way it looks through the glass.
Oh, I was like, good God. That thing would sound nasty.
Well, that just looks like
It's a what?
AutoZam AZ1.
AutoZam AZ1. So is
Made
it?
where? From Japan. From Japan.
Do they still sell cars over there?
I mean, K-class cars, yes. Let me sign in real quick. I'll tell you all about it.
My son's stationed over at Yokota in what is it, Fusa, something like that. And he's looking for a car to buy. I'm like, hey Ben, I got this awesome car you need to get. Only one modern, and he's the Mark II, so he has the bigger motor.
Which end of it? Put money on me on the first lap of any session, then I'll spin. That's what I spin. We had a wet day before one of the days out here. And they said, "Pretty wet,
And there you go. Oh, that's the photographer who's running around taking pictures of cars. And that's who is here now. Still got a little bit more time, so there may be a couple more cars show up, I don't know. Okay, so here we go out on the track. First time doing hot laps. We were on the track once before after the initial driver's meeting. The novice group went out with 2 pace cars, and they took us around the track about 3 times. so that we would have a little familiarity with the turns and the elevation changes. And also they showed us the best lines to take through all the turns. So once we got to go out here for real, we'd have we wouldn't be totally new and completely figuring it out on our own. And now we get to do it for real. This Mustang is another guy who's a total novice like I was, and he has a GT that I think was completely stock, unless you have one of the high-end like Shelby Cobra 350, 500 Mustangs. They aren't really good at track type things. They're built more to just go fast in a straight line. So he lets me go by right here, coming up on this the back straightaway. If you've never done it before, it's, I won't say intimidating, but you definitely go onto the track wondering how you're going to do, even if you have confidence in your abilities, having never done something like this before, knowing that if you mess up there can be dire consequences. It definitely is on your mind as you start racing. And it takes going through a couple turns halfway decent for you to really start to relax and get a little confidence and go, yeah, I can do this. So my first couple laps this first session, my goal was just to get a feel for how Itsy responds, both going in, coming out of turns, and to get a better feel for me for trying to hit the lines, learn the track, and then just slowly pick up speed as I go. The second session, I wish I could have recorded. I was definitely faster in all aspects, pretty much everywhere in the track except 14. I even started to get 5 a little better. I never really got it down consistently, but 14 I know I did wrong all day long. Catching up to 2 Miatas here. And I should say we were scheduled to have 3 sessions. And because of a miscommunication between SCCA and Eagles Canyon Raceway, their restaurant was not staffed this day, and so they weren't open. And the racetrack's it's too far outside of the nearest town to be able to go grab something to eat in between sessions. You just don't have enough time to do it. So, and the guy in front of us told us to pass right here. I elected not to because it wasn't a passing zone. And they talked to both the drivers in the driver's session about what they just did, because if somebody tells you to pass and you're not in a passing zone and you pass anyway, you're the one that gets black flag, not the guy that told you to pass. He lets me pass here in a while. But anyway, I'd been planning to eat at the track. I had to work the next day. Novice class, our third session, was the very last cars on the track. And I still had a 1.5 to 2 hour drive, depending on what the traffic was going to be, to get back home. And so when I found out that I would not be able to eat supper at the track, I elected to skip the last session and leave early, which several of the cars that had to drive a long way did the same thing. So I got in 2 sessions, and I wish I could have got the third, because it's really fun being out there. I can't even describe how much fun this is. It's like, take whatever level of fun you think it's going to be and then multiply it by 2 or 3 or 4, and you'll get an idea. But then I'm one of those crazy people that used to jump out of airplanes, so my idea of fun may be different than some people. So I'm faster than both of these MX-5s in front of me. The one right in front of me is NB. The one in the lead right now is the NA, who it's right-hand drive. He imported it from England, and he has a 1.6 liter motor, but it's stock. I was faster in the turns by a little bit. This is the car in front of me. I was faster just by a lot. The one with the green and black. I could blow him away on the straightaways. He could stay with me pretty good in the turns, but I was still beating him in the turns. They're both going to let me pass here soon. I think he lets me pass either right here or the next, right here. This was actually a dangerous place to pass, because if you took too long to pass, this turn here is, man, it will mess with you. It's off camber, and the guy with the blue ND, he was in the advanced group. He passed somebody right there, and he was coming into the turn too fast, and he tapped his brakes and just swung his back end around and spun out right there. The McLaren, there was a black McLaren. He wasn't in our group, so he's in intermediate or advanced. I don't know which one. And he said that even though he's all-wheel drive, somehow he got all 4 tires going sideways in the turn, and he slid off the track completely. Didn't spin out, but he went all the way off the track. And whenever that happens, if you have, they call it 4-off, if you have all 4 wheels off in the dirt and grass, mandatory next time you come by pits, you have to pit. And their tech inspectors will come out, inspect your car real quick, make sure there's no fluids leaking, because fluid on a racetrack is just deadly. It's literally deadly. It makes the track unsafe. And they also look to see if anything got loose, it's dangling underneath the car. And they also inspect your tires to make sure you didn't get any cuts or nicks or anything that would make continued track activity unsafe for you and the people around you. And they get you back out on the track if you pass everything. In session 2, this Miata and I ended up with this like glorious 2.5 laps where there was nobody in sight in front of us and nobody in our mirrors, and we just got to play for a while. And like I said, I'm faster than him in the straightaways by a lot, and a little bit faster than him in the turns. So after about 3/4 of a lap, he let me pass, and I just kind of slowly moved away from him. But I started catching up to a group of 3 cars where the car in the front was a little bit slow. And there he goes, right-hand drive, giving me the pass signal. And rather than, I knew the session was going to close in 2 or 3 laps, so rather than getting slowed down by the cars in front of me, I just went slower for about half a lap, let the MX-5 catch up from me, and then we got to play a little bit again for like a lap and a half before they checker flagged us. And then I talked to him afterwards. He's a pretty cool guy.
End of the message.
This flag station on the right, that's where Joey's at. You saw him at the beginning of the video with the cars. He's in our DFW Fiat Club. And so I see him at various events that he comes to. He's taken his car and done the time trials with SCCA, so he's racing for speed and points. So he's more experienced on the track than I am. There goes the Lotus. He had been slowly pulling up on us. I was hoping, because he's not a novice. He's an experienced track driver on other tracks. He's in the novice group because he's never raced at Eagles Canyon before, so they make him go novice just one day. And I was hoping to be able to follow him and see the lines he was taking and how he was handling the track and learn from him. But the car in front of us just messed with that. We're catching up to this little silver car that's a complete stock. It's not even built to be a sporty car. And the driver was another complete novice, and just that was, the silver car is easily the slowest track on the car all day, and that was compounded by the driver not being aware of what was behind him, not giving people the pass by signal. He got blue flagged several times. If you don't allow people to pass, the flag stations on the straightaways will give you a blue flag with a yellow diagonal stripe that is basically ordering you to let the faster cars behind you around. If you ignore that, they'll black flag you and bring you in. So here he lets Lotus pass, but he didn't give me the pass by signal, so I couldn't pass. If you notice what he did it consistently. When he finally let people pass, he would wait until he was like halfway down the straightaway, and then he'd give the pass by signal. And a lot of times the faster car would have already had to slow down to match his speed because they hadn't signaled he could go by. Yeah, you can go by here. He finally lets me pass because the flagger is giving him the blue flag, ordering him to let me go by. And so he upset a few people during the course of the day. And I think part of it was because he was probably brand new, and just wasn't paying attention to his mirrors, and he just didn't have the whole idea down yet. He's learning, so hopefully he improves in the future if he does it again. In the second session, he held me up big time. And I'm coming through 4 right now, about to go through 5. As I come out of 5, you're going to see me pull over to the right, and I'm not going fast because I'm letting the go-kart go by me. He's been just running up on me. I can see him in my mirror. I'm going to pull over and watch this little thing there. This thing is crazy. It really didn't seem like it cared. You can see he's not cutting the corners tight or anything. He's just hauling butt around the track. He had grip to spare. And before we get off the back, or before we get to the start finish, he's ahead of the Lotus. That little thing was fast. But anyway, in the second session, we only have like a lap and a half left now. In the second session, that silver car was holding me up big time. Came out of 9 and 10, going down the long straightaway, and he never gave me the pass-by signal, to where I had to get on my brakes and slow down to match his speed, because I can't pass unless he tells me to. And about halfway down the straightaway, he finally gave me the pass-by signal, and I'm going the same speed as him. It's like, dude, why didn't you let me pass when I was going fast? And at the same time, there were 2 Corvettes that had been a decent distance behind me, but when I had to slow down, they were still, they were hot rodding down the back straightaway. He finally gave me the signal to pass, and here come these Corvettes like twice the speed as what we were almost, and they saw the pass signal. They're like, hey, we're taking that. Boom, they pulled over to the left and just blew by us, and I saw them pull out the pass. I was like, well, I'm not even going to try to pass right now. I definitely don't want to be 3 wide on this with all of us not having experience racing. And so they went by, and I had to wait till the next passing zone to pass. And by that time, the Corvettes were like way in front of me, so I didn't get to play with them at all. Which another thing, I really would have liked to play with them a little bit, because I can't out accelerate them. But with most Corvettes, at least on the street, I can hang in turns with them really well. So we just got the checkered flag. Most cars will go all the way to turn 11 before they get their foot off the throttle. The Lotus that passed me, he elected to start letting his car cool down a lot sooner. So when we get to the long straightaway, he's going to let me go by him, but it's not a legitimate pass because he was already not going fast. As a matter of fact, right here going into 5, I'm already catching him. He's already slowed down. Overall, man, it was such a cool time. I've always wanted to get out on the track, and when you see the people posting videos of their cars on the track, it just like makes you a little bit envious, because it seemed like it'd be a blast to do. And if you're into fast driving at all, it's like, oh my god, spend the money and do it. It is awesome. And I get to do it again at the Freakout in 2 weeks. We're going to be at the Houston Motorsport Ranch. So I'll see you then. He just gave me the pass signal. Up here is turn 11. The video's going to end as I go through 11, because after that I just get off the throttle and cool down and go into the pits. And there is my very first time on a track. Can't wait to do it again. Have a good day, y'all.